because I noticed right away when I changed my mindset in terms of, oh, I want to do $10,000 a month, and then all of a sudden I was
Mhm.
like, I want to do $100,000 a month. And I started planning for $100,000 a month. I started doing the things that would get me to $100,000 a month.
All right, hey guys. So I'm here with Jake Tanner. Jake, you're probably the most successful digital agency owner that has come through OMG, which is our
I
which
don't
is
know
our
about
SEO
that.
community. I
There's a
don't know.
lot
I
of
think
successful people in OMG.
I mean there certainly are. But like as far as members go, I'm really scratching my head in terms of people who've gone that agency route. And we were just talking about this new Pokemon store that you started in January, and you said since January you guys have done how much in business?
So far we've done over 1 million in sales to date this year. So we're probably going to pass 2 million this year total in the full year once the year's done with. I don't know though, because we've never done like a Christmas time. And I
Yeah,
heard in the hobby industry, Christmas time is like absolutely insane. Like some stores do 5 to 10 times their normal monthly revenue. So I'm like, if we hit that instead of 2 million, we could be doing 3 million or something during Christmas time, which is insane.
it's so
It's
wild
only
though.
our
But
first year there.
one thing I've noticed, because I'm always like taking a look at people who are really successful with their own businesses, with their own ventures, and I've noticed that if somebody tends to be good at one thing, they generally are like really good at another thing. So in this case, you had this amazing digital agency. You had a phenomenal exit, quite recently. I don't know. We'll get into that in a little bit.
Yeah.
And now you started up this other company, which is kind of like a hobby, your game store, and it seems like you're just crushing it there. So I guess one of my questions is, when you look at um, what you're doing, you and your wife are doing with your game store, what are some of the lessons that you've taken from running your other business that's maybe changing or influencing how you operate with your game store?
We planned. I plan a lot more. I used to just kind of wing everything
Yeah.
when I first started, and I plan a lot more. And my mindset's completely different. I think that's something I talked about. I was talking to Mike Long a little bit ago, and
Mhm.
I was telling him about my mindset, how it's completely changed. And David Mills, and he talks about mindset a lot too. And it's interesting because like a lot of people, it's hard to have that mindset if you haven't done like gotten to that point. But I feel like if you have that mindset, like the right mindset,
What
you can
mindset?
get there so much easier, quicker. And that's just really just imagine like the vision of where you're going to be with the company. A lot of people have that vision of like, oh, I want to get to $10,000 a month, right? And then usually you get on the path to getting $10,000 a month. And there's so many people online that talk about it in different ways. So many of those, like influencers, like big business influencers and stuff that talk about that kind of thing, but they talk about it in different ways. And I finally dawned on me like, oh crap, it's a real thing. Like, because I noticed right away when I changed my mindset in terms of, oh, I want to do $10,000 a month, and then all of a sudden I was
Mhm.
like, I want to do $100,000 a month. And I started planning for $100,000 a month. I started doing the things that would get me to $100,000 a month. It got me there. Like it was so different than the $10,000 a month mindset or vision or mindset, I guess you could say, because the same thing happened with the game store. So like as I was growing Digital Hive and the agency, uh, the mindset and vision kept growing and changing as I kept hitting those goals and milestones. But then we kept hitting the new goals and milestones, and
Yeah.
I almost think back like, wait, why didn't I think about $1 million a month like 5 years ago? Why did it take me 5 years to get to the $1 million a month mindset or vision when I could have thought about it on year two or something like that?
Mm.
Where the game store, I've accelerated that to. We originally started it, and my wife and I started, and we're like, we're just gonna make this little hobby thing because we didn't know about the digital. We weren't approached for the agency sale yet
Yeah.
at the time when we started it. So we started it, and once we did that, we're like, we're gonna make this a little small thing. It did get a decent amount of sales in the beginning. I forget, we were doing like a few $100s a day or something like that in sales, and then the sale came back. Uh, the, the person that was going to acquire us, that whole thing started happening, and I
Yeah.
was like, in my mind, I'm like, man, what's my next thing? And I'm like, we could really make this game store really big. And I was like, here's my like 3-year plan to reach $20 million. Like, this is what we're gonna do.
Oh, that's so cool.
And once I changed my mindset, all of a sudden the store started blowing up. It's like this weird, like,
Hmm.
I don't know if anyone's, it's kind of all over the place. Like, people read like The Secret and like all those kind of books and things. It's all kind of like the same idea almost,
Hmm.
where you're thinking about like where you want to go and what you want to get to. But then I started laying out my months and I said, like, I need a way bigger space. So I started looking for bigger spaces. I need to hit $300,000 a month to afford the bigger space. Literally 2 months later, like this month, we're probably going to hit 300,000 this month. And
Yeah.
I'm like, what just happened? It's 2 months. Like, we hit, but I started doing all the things to make sure like I need to hit 300 grand. Let's do all the right thing. Let's do the right kind of marketing and advertising. And we do SEO for the game store and things like that. Um,
Are
and let's
most of the
do all
sales
that
coming
stuff.
online, or is it into the physical location?
Majority's online. We're still just doing curbside pickup right now,
Okay.
during COVID, but we're going to move into the bigger space, which is going to be, it's crazy. We're looking at a 14,000 square foot space right now for a
It's
warehouse
huge.
plus a game store.
Oh, okay. For the
So
warehouse also. All right.
yeah, so it'd be like 4,000 square foot of like a game store and then like 10,000 square feet of like a warehouse to ship all our products. But majority of our sales are online. Like 90% of our sales right now are online, and we ship everything ourselves. So
Yeah.
we fulfill and ship everything ourselves, which is pretty cool. I'm kind of learning how to control the whole like supply chain here. So it's a new challenge.
Yeah, it's interesting because when I think of a game store, I think that it seems to me like, and just please correct me where I'm wrong, that it seems to me that it's kind of like a commodity, like someone can buy Pokemon, cards from you, but they could do the exact same product from anybody else. And so, like, how
Yeah.
were you able to differentiate yourself to really grab some market share really quickly?
It was one thing was I started, it kind of led into other things. I actually started with SEO pretty much. And I think if you search like buy Pokemon cards online, I'll have to look, but I think we're like first or second still for like buy Pokemon cards online already. Like, we're above like Amazon and
Oh my
Best Buy
gosh.
and like,
Those
um,
SEO skills, they just keep on coming back. They just reward,
so
reward, reward.
yeah, I think we're second under Pokemon.com themselves. If you
Okay.
look, I think if you look at like buy Pokemon cards online or something like that. Um, so we did that first, and what that actually led to was one of the biggest streamers, influencers on YouTube for Pokemon reached out to us and was like, hey, I was googling Pokemon cards. Other uh my other, I don't know, not really a partnership, but like his other store that he worked with, or was affiliated with, fell through. Like, the deal fell through, and
Yeah.
he emailed us and was like, hey, I just want to talk with you guys, interested in working with you, because he Google searched and was looking at
Yeah.
game stores, and
It
he
must be
wanted to
good.
partner with a smaller store, too. He didn't want to partner with like a Best Buy or something like that.
Yeah.
um, and so he reached out to us, and he has like 1 million subscribers on YouTube, and um, a few, a couple million followers on like Twitch and stuff like that, and he just streams Pokemon all the time. And so I, long story short, this is a little bit longer in the weeds of a detail of a deal that we did with him, but we finally partnered with him, and he promotes us all the time too. So like during all his streams and his YouTube videos and all that stuff,
Oh, that's
he
awesome.
promotes us too. So we really gained like his following, but also in the meantime, we were doing the same thing of like building our brand and ranking on Google. We started to, I built really good relationships already very quickly with our distributors who give us product. So we're able to get like a lot more product than most people already would in the industry,
Hmm.
at a better price than most people would in the industry. So a lot of places that are sold out, we're still carrying tons of product. So like we can
Oh,
continue to sell every day.
yeah.
Um, and Pokemon's just selling out like crazy. So that was all like a part of what kind of happened in that domino effect. I would also say people underestimate the power of like customer service. So the first thing we did was we implemented like a whole ticketing system with customer service and everything, even though it was just my wife and I. Like
Yeah.
we got the emails, we didn't need to implement a ticketing system, but we did. And we go above and beyond for all kinds of people. Just like, oh, if their order was wrong, we'll ship them a new product. We eat their refunds. We do what we can. And then we just get blown up on social media because of that. Like someone sent us a
Yeah.
really cool story um, about like him and his brother who has, like an illness, and he loves opening Pokemon cards, and he's really happy he could find a set at a good price, and he ordered from us, and we just sent him like a ton of free packs. And then it just like blew up on Twitter and stuff like that. So like just those kind of things, even and now we're really heavily going to focus on the brand and content as kind of our next idea of marketing to
Okay.
differentiate ourselves from other people, which is like, what if I'm just starting, what should I do, what should I buy, like what cards are worth money, like we're going to start building content around those and start ranking those and all that kind of stuff around like content blurbs for in Google and all that kind of thing.
Jake, I love what you're going over now because, number one, something that we talk about a lot is how, knowing SEO, it's really a crazy superpower because you can go in so many directions with it. You can go the agency route, you can go the e-commerce route, and I guess, you can go affiliate marketing route, and you've done a lot of those different things, which is really
Yeah.
cool. And another thing that I'm really getting from what you're saying is how much just being a business owner with your agency is has led to those steps that you're taking with your game store. Because I know for us at PM Now, partners has been tremendous for our growth. Getting with partners who are in the
Yep.
industry, which are basically kind of like those influencers that you're talking about. So I'm wondering, like, was that part of the plan? Was that part of the strategy for you to reach out to some influencers or partners who were able to then propel you guys forward?
um it was going to be part of the plan later on. So it was like the idea of like, oh, and once we get our feet under us, like we'll do this. But like it happened to come to us because again, I
You're
feel like it
ranking.
was all in that mindset, and we were ranking. And um it's just crazy sometimes how these things happen. But he reached out to us, and we were like, okay, well, I can't pass this opportunity up, really.
Yeah.
And so we took it at that time. The goal is to work with more people like that, in different kind of board games and things like that too, and kind of different segments of our industry to
Yep.
grow those also. So we do plan on doing that more in the future. And the same thing happened with our digital marketing agency. We had a bunch of partners that were other agencies or other one person consultants that did like traditional media. They only sold TV or radio or something like
Yep.
that, or billboards, and they wanted to do digital marketing, so they passed on clients to us, and they might have got a commission or something like that. So that was another big part of what we did at Digital Hive too,
Yeah.
to
We
continue to grow.
we have relationships like that. Some people who just do web design, and they can pass the
Yeah,
SEO work to us. Um, so talking, switching a little bit or moving a little bit to the Digital Hive, and maybe we come back to the game store again. But so you've got this exit. Is it all wrapped up yet, or is it still in the
yeah, it's
process?
all done. Technically, I am a consultant for Digital Hive right now, through
Congratulations.
the end of the year. So they hired me back as a consultant to work through the end of the year for Digital Hive,
I was wondering,
and then I'm done after that.
could you sort of walk us through like that process? Like, what did it look like, when you were just like first approached, and like those discussions, and how
Yeah,
did that all work?
yeah, I'll have to be careful of some of the details because we did sign an NDA agreement.
Okay.
But some of the stuff, it was very much like uh, we got approached by the agency that was interested in us. We knew of each other, so like we've had talks before, but nothing about like being acquired or anything like that. More just chats with them about like, they were much bigger than us, so more chats about like running an agency, and we've asked them for advice before and stuff like that. Just that kind of relationship building type thing, because they're in the city like next to us pretty much.
Okay.
And they they place all the digital advertising for State Farm, like across the country pretty much.
Nice.
And so we've talked to them, and I think I forget when it was, it might have been like in March or something like that. We were talking to the CEO, and they were like, what would be interesting is like if Butler and Digital Live combined. And we were like, yeah, that is kind of interesting. Like we didn't really know what it meant at that point. And
Yeah.
then we came back like a week later and we're like, what did you mean by that? Like, what does that look like? And so they kind of, then they really we kind of talked through it, what it would look like at first. And then they put pen to paper and they said, well, maybe it would look like something like this. And we kind of like talked about what the actual acquisition would look like and like dollar amounts and things like that. Um, and then you kind of go back and forth. So they kind of draft up an agreement, and you have like lawyers look at it and things like that. And you go a little bit, there's usually like a little bit of back and forth on the like details of the agreement, because there'll be certain things you never thought of that would happen, like like who owns the laptops afterwards or something,
Oh, wow. Yeah.
like just these crazy little details you don't think of. um but we're like, no, can we put a clause in there that I can keep my laptop, like those kind of things. um but it's stuff that you wouldn't think of that stuff coming up. But so we worked out all those details, and then we worked out the agreement. There's all different kinds of ways people can have an agreement. There's something called like an earnout, which is what a lot of deals are done, where
Yeah.
you continue on with them, and then you have to hit certain revenue goals, and you'll get paid more money like as you hit those goals, things like that. We didn't have one, but we are consulting them to help them, you know,
Yeah.
um, make sure that they try to hit their goals, and that there's a smooth transition. So that was part of the deal, was like, hey, we would stay on with you guys to help through the transition to them, to make sure everything goes smoothly. Um, but really that was it. Then you go through something called due diligence, and due diligence is when they kind of just dig into your business and make sure there's nothing crazy that's wrong. Like they want to make sure like you have no lawsuits, make sure you didn't lie about finances, things like that.
Mm.
And they dig into all your statements and accounts, and they might sometimes interview some of your employees. They want to meet with like the high level people to make sure they're going to stay on, like all that kind of stuff. um, and they have like a huge checklist of all those things
Yeah.
that you'd have to go through due diligence, and that period lasts for like a month or two sometimes. And then it goes into like closing the actual deal, which we closed the actual deal a few weeks ago. At this point, three to
So
three
this
to
was
four
like
weeks
a
ago.
9-month process. Yeah, like that.
Surprisingly, this was super quick, because we only started talking to them about it in March, so it was one of the faster deals.
Oh my goodness.
um
Yeah.
so it was probably like a 4-month process for us around
Mm.
there,
Wow. I'm
which
amazed
is
that
quick
happened that fast. Yeah.
for most deals that happen.
Yeah. And so, you'd been building Digital Hive for how many years prior to that?
July was their 7-year anniversary.
Oh goodness. Yeah.
So we've been
So,
around for 7 years now, which is
and
crazy to think about.
I know Digital Hive was, it was well over 7 figures per month, like even
Yeah.
last year when we were talking about it. And so, you know, when you're approaching, you're out of that business. I know you're still a consultant there, but you're no longer owning that business. Like when this goes back to like the game store, when you're setting your sights on what you want to do with your life now, like what's moving forward, like why was it that you wanted to build this game store to be so big? Why is it not like, just time to just hang out and
I know.
I don't know, like,
My business partner is, sometimes I'm like, should I have done that? Because technically, to be honest, I probably could have retired, and I could have
yeah.
retired at 30, if I wanted to.
Hmm.
Um, and thinking about that, I just realized like big thing for me is like opportunity only comes so often. So like you're not going to keep getting. I keep thinking this, like I'm not going to keep getting like this many opportunities to like hit it out of the park, really. And
Hmm.
when it started just growing really quickly, I was like, holy cow, there's a really big opportunity here. I need to grab for it now and do as much as I can while I'm still young and like can do that. And I'm just thinking about this game store, like 5 years from now, my my idea is like, yeah, right now I could probably live comfortably. I might have to consult or something like that. Where I
Mhm.
want the idea of like by 35, I I mean, I could live very well off and never have to work again, almost kind of thing.
Yeah.
Where right now I could like live well
You get
off
by.
and not
Yeah.
have, yeah, I could get by, but like there would be some things like, oh, if I want something extra, which I'm not going to go do this, but like I know I have like Mike has talked about like the Porsches that I've
I was
had,
about to
but
say,
I'm
I'm like,
like,
do you want to buy
if I
another
ever want
Porsche?
to, if I
Is
ever
that what we're
wanted to,
talking
if I
about?
ever wanted to upgrade to like a Ferrari or something, you know, a Lamborghini, then like I would have to keep working. I feel like, and I have everything I could ever want. Like I have a nice house.
Yeah.
I have like our dream home. We have all the things that we want. But at the same time, I just feel like there has to be like a purpose. I feel like after a week or two of me sitting at home and like playing video games or like whatever I was gonna do and just like chilling out, after probably a couple weeks, I'd be like, I would feel almost lost, like just drifting, like what's my
Yeah.
purpose now? Like I need a purpose. And I would just be driven for that purpose. And I'm like, we have this opportunity now today. Why don't I just take it before I could take that 2 weeks, months off, and that opportunity might not hit in that time for me to do that. So I'm really just like, this is the opportunity. I need to take it. I need to do this. I'm passionate about this industry.
Yeah.
So I just really, it's something that I've been wanting to do. I've been wanting to get in the game industry for so long, whether it's video games or card games or just gaming in general. Um, and it's something I've always wanted to do. So I'm like, I need to do this. I can't imagine living another 40, 50 years not doing anything. Like what would I
Oh,
do? You
right.
know?
Yeah.
I
No,
would
it's
be,
crazy.
I would definitely feel lost after a little bit of time, I feel like. So that was
I
really why I
so
wanted to
dig
continue.
I so dig how like passionate you are about this venture. I mean, in the background, you've got like these Pokemon balls and stuff,
Oh
and
yeah, there's stuff all over my room.
yeah, and like, I mean, that's not for show. Like that's for you because you wanted it, you know. But then I'm also thinking about the last 7 years you've been running an agency. I don't know if you probably don't have a room in your house with posters of backlinks or anything like that.
No, no, the closest thing I have, which I don't even, you can't really see it, but it's my ink
Oh, cool.
way up there. It's my we were on the Inc. 5,000 3 years in a row at Digital Hive for like fastest growing,
It's amazing.
companies. And that was, yep, that's about it that I had up on my wall
Yeah,
was that. There was no, yeah, there wasn't really the backlinks and things like that. But what I do feel like is knowing the skill then can have you go into any passion you want because you know how to market or advertise or show up in Google for yourself for
yeah,
whatever passion project you want, kind of thing. And you can get into a million different industries with
totally.
with that ability.
And I love the fact that digital agencies that there's such a low barrier to entry. You know, like
Yes.
there's so many digital agencies. Like there could be so many out there, and there really are. And what that means is like in order to be successful, you really do need to figure out all these other things. You know, you do need to figure out your marketing. You know how to brand yourself. You need to know how to position your agency. Which kind of leads me into the next question, which is there are like I said before, I mean, to my knowledge, the most successful digital agency owner to come through our community. And so there's thousands of people out there who've tried the agency path and maybe they haven't had the success yet that they're aiming for. So like what do you think what made you different, do you think?
I think one thing, and I've talked about this in some older videos, I think, a
Mhm.
while ago. When I first started, I really wasn't worried about the money as much when I first started. I knew I had an idea that like the money would come as I grew my skill. And I wasn't worried about charging a ton of money when I first started. So when I first started, I was literally looking for any opportunity that came my way because I was also at the time, I think I was like, I don't even know, I was probably like 2 or something like that.
Hmm.
I was literally looking for any opportunity that came my way to say, hey, can I help rank your restaurant for $300 a month, or $400 a month, or whatever it was. And I would take half that money and use it for like backlinking and doing the things I need to do to build the SEO. And and as I did that, I kind of just snowballed, and I made sure I got results for those clients, and I really worked on my craft in the beginning
Yeah.
and the ability to do SEO. And that really had a snowball effect of like I started gaining confidence. I started realizing like, oh, I'm not charging enough now. Like I'm really not. I need to keep upping my price. And as I went along, we upped our price. And with that confidence, and as we upped our price, we always had the nervousness of like, we're gonna lose business, right? When we went from
Oh
like
yeah.
$500 a month minimum for SEO. Um, Back in 2014, I think we had like a $500 a month minimum SEO. I wouldn't recommend that really.
Yeah.
um, you could still try doing that, but back then we had that in, and then we went to, I think like a year or two later, probably like a year later or so, we wanted to go to $1,500 a month as our minimum spend to work with us, and that was
Yeah.
also advertising and SEO combined. And when we did that, we're like, oh man, we're so scared that we're going to lose clients. All these things are going to happen. Yeah, we lost a couple clients, but we really gained way more revenue as we increased. We were turning down like some of the bad deals that
Yeah.
weren't
You
worth it
probably
for
get better
us.
clients from doing that.
Yeah, we were getting
Yeah.
better clients at the time as we grew. Our minimum now is $5,000 a month to work with us,
Sweet.
in terms of like combined advertising and really
Mhm.
like between Google ads and SEO and things like that.
Yeah.
Um, and we've gotten up to that point where we're like, oh, we're not afraid of this anymore. But I was also not afraid to start smaller and work our way up, which I think some people might not have the confidence yet, to jump to like $5,000 a month. But
Yeah.
they hear like, oh, they hear stories like mine, and they're like, yeah, I just need to charge $5,000 a month for my SEO services or something like that. So they jump to it, and they might go into a meeting, and then they're not as confident. People can tell when you're not as confident when you have the ask for like the last slide there. It's like, here's the investment, this much money. And when you're not confident when that happens, people can
5,000
tell
a
that.
month.
Yeah. And when you're super confident, like this is going to get you an amazing ROI, and you're going to do like, we're going to do
Totally.
great things together. This is going to be a great partnership, between our companies, and it's only going to cost you $5,000 a month. It's
Yeah.
very different than like, hey,
Totally.
please, sir, can I have $5,000 a month?
Please.
It's very different.
Yeah.
Um, and so I think building that confidence is key, because I didn't have that confidence in the beginning either. Like I felt that I was not a people person. I was very bad at talking. I was like super bad at speaking to anyone. And I've grown that confidence and that ability like over time. So, and it might be different for someone else. Someone else might have that confidence. They might be a natural salesperson. And I say, go ahead, go for that. Do what you can.
Yeah.
Charge as much as you can when you first start. But I think that was a big part of it. I also think the other big part of it was that I was just willing to try and do anything to get my first sale. So like I was going, I was doing literally anything I could. I was posting on LinkedIn groups. I was posting on LinkedIn. I was posting in Facebook groups. I was posting on my own Facebook, like my personal Facebook
Yep.
account. I was going to networking events. I was joining different associations like, Chamber of Commerce's, things like that. I was trying to find people to work with. I was trying to see if I could get crazy enough. I actually got some. I was trying to get speaking engagements. I was a terrible speaker back then, and I
Yeah.
still got speaking engagements for like different associations talking about digital marketing and all these things. And I think getting your first couple of sales is one of the hardest things that people have when they start an agency. And so I was doing all of those things. I think I was even posting on, gosh, I wasn't Upwork at the time. I forgot what it was, but
Maybe Craigslist or something, or
yeah,
oh, there was Odesk.
I did
I think
post
there
on
was
Craigslist.
Odesk before it was Upwork.
Yeah, I was posting on Craigslist. I was posting on like freelance sites, all these
Yeah.
things. I was literally posting everywhere to find clients and doing everything I could every day to find. I built my website. I ranked it for, SEO services in Syracuse. I did that. Like I literally did everything you could do Um, and I got clients like here and there. They started to trickle in as I kept pounding the pavement. And then it just like as you keep doing these things, as you keep working hard, like it just continues to snowball
Yeah.
as it happens. And then a lot of stuff came from word of mouth after that.
Mm. And then I know
After as we
you
grew.
you teamed up with your business partner, and that seemed to also really bring you to the next level.
Yeah. Yep. So I like I said, I was a very bad salesperson and I was a very bad like people person in terms of like talking or having conversations. And he was really good at it. He was a natural salesperson. He was like the youngest sales manager of a TV station. And he came in and I was like, I don't want to do sales. I want to do the nerdy stuff on the computer. Like that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
And we partnered together after I already had like a small book of business. And he was like, I'll pound the pavement and do all the sales and the account management while you do all the work. And so him and I kind of did that together. And originally though, I went on a bunch of sales calls with him because he didn't know how to talk about SEO. So he would like almost translate my like technical nerd talk into like, oh, let me tell you something that people normal people can understand. Um, and so that but it worked really well. And he already had some like contacts and stuff with businesses, so he could call them. We started selling SEO together, but over time it really was we got way more business than what he ever had contacts with, over time. And a lot of it was word of mouth, but we also, I would say, spoke at a lot of events. We would go to different like local market events. So there would be like sometimes there'd be a local marketing event, or there'd be a local chamber of commerce event, or um, like associations and things like that. We would go and speak at whenever we could, and I definitely think that drove in some business too for us. And then whenever we had a chance to kind of catch wind of anything little that happened, like when we hired one employee, right? We made it a big deal. We like reached out to all the local newspapers and was like, we hired an employee, like Digital Hive is expanding. Like we tried to, and then we would get picked up in the newspaper. People would see us more locally. We'd post
Yeah.
it on all our social media. We'd post a blog post about it. Um, if we did any kind of like awards or partnership or got anything, even like the smallest awards where it was like they gave it to tons of businesses, like the Chamber of Commerce gave it to every business in the chamber. And we got the award, we'd make a big deal about it. And that would just get our name in front of more people, like in the local market for us. So we took
Yeah.
advantage of anything we could too, I would say.
That's awesome. I think that one of the things I've learned from Mike Long a lot over the years is he's really good at spotting. He's like, I would say, really good is an understatement. Sort of genius level at spotting marketing opportunities. It's sort of like
Yep.
he sees something. He's like, wait a second, guys, this is really really important. Put your focus here, and it seems like that's what you've done with basically every single opportunity you could to promote Digital Hive along the years.
Yeah. Yeah. It's literally everything we could take advantage of, we did. And we didn't like let our foot off the gas, I would say, when we did do that.
Yeah.
There was not a lot of I would say it was hard work, but it was like, well, we can't let this opportunity pass us. If we need to do 3 phone interviews today, that's fine, or whatever it is. Like, we need to get all that done as we're like driving to the next client meeting. If we have to call someone in the car to do an interview or something, like we'll do that. Because we had some when we first hit the Inc 500, that was a huge deal for us, like 3 or 4 years ago. And we made sure that's literally what we were doing. We were driving to interviews while interviewing on like the radio stations in the car, calling in, like
Yeah.
interviewing on radio stations while driving to the next
Amazing.
interviews to try to get everything done in time for that day.
So Jake, what's the secret to landing six-figure digital marketing clients?
The this the real secret is a lot of what I just told you. So
Yeah.
that's the tough part. Is it definitely is one of the things that you have to build on. Like, we did not come out the gate. There are some people that I've heard of that come out the gate and like land a six figure client, but we did not come out the gate landing
And
like
is this six-figure per month, or are you talking about annual?
um so we have both. So we can talk about both of
All of
those.
the above.
Yeah, so we did have both of those clients, types of clients at Digital Hive. And I would say that the 6 figure per month clients is more what I'm talking about here. Is
Yeah.
when you first come out the gate, it's pretty tough to land them without doing some of those things that I was talking about. I think you have to build a small book of business at least to show that you know what you're doing, because they're going to be a little bit stricter on who they work with, right? At that point, they're not just going to work with anybody.
Yeah.
um, so I think building a small book of business is really great as something to do, but it's really about relationship building. That's what we found out is the reason why we got into most of those six-figure deals, I would say, is because we had a really good relationship with like the marketing director or the marketing manager or something like that who was in there. And that's just even like literally you could reach out to them on LinkedIn and say like, hey, like you don't want to sell them anything at the beginning. It's more just building a relationship. It's very much like, hey, I run a digital marketing agency. I know you've been at this X company for, the last 5 years and you're the marketing director there. And I would love to just pick your brain and see like what kind of stuff you guys are doing and like what kind of stuff we're doing. And we've, here's the kind of things that we've been doing for clients, but really just like that relationship building piece. I think some people just skip that step and go right to like,
Pitch.
hey, we're an agency, like we can do way better than all your other people. And they get a million of those a day. But if you want to connect with them I've met some amazing people literally just reaching out to them on LinkedIn, but like a personable reaching out to them on LinkedIn. Like I've sent them a message where it's like, hey, I saw you speak at this event the other day. And I was literally talking to like a 40 under 40 Forbes business leader.
Yeah.
And I was like, I saw you speak at this event. You were amazing. And I was like, I really don't reach out to people often, which is true. Like when I really want to meet someone, I do it. And I was like, I don't reach out to people very often. Here's like all the stuff that I'm doing. It would be really cool to connect for like coffee sometime. And just, I wish I should go find that actually, like I should go find some of my messages and like read an actual message that I've sent to someone
Hmm.
for you guys to see what it was like.
Yeah. Send me a
But
screenshot. I would love,
I'll think of
I could
what
add it.
some of those messages are. Yeah. So we
Yeah.
can, so you guys can look at them, but it is very like, it is very custom to that person. It's very much like, oh, I saw like you're a big fan of like this thing. And like, I'm a fan too. Like, I really would love to just like chat and all these things. Like I found people in the gaming industry that were like, they were in the gaming industry, but they were really into gaming or like some type of games, like board games or something like that. And I was like, oh, I saw like you posted about this like really cool board game. Like I'm super into board games too. Like when, can we
Yeah.
connect? But I'm also big into marketing. So like it would be great to connect and discuss like strategies and things that we're doing, like and nothing to do with like pitching them or selling them or anything like that. It's more like, hey, I'd like to build this relationship as a like friend person.
And it sounds like you don't send too many of those messages around, or do you have somebody on your team like who's reaching out in your industries, the industries that you work with, to do that?
We do at the same time have salespeople that are more just reaching out like
Yeah.
heavier pitching, than that.
Mhm.
Where when I reached out to people, it was very much like very targeted and someone I actually wanted to build a relationship with. It was authentic. It wasn't like, hey, I just want to meet this person because like it would be good business for me. It
Would
was
you
more so, hey, I
follow up
want
a
to meet
lot?
this person because no, I'd probably only follow up like once or twice at
Okay.
most with someone. And if they weren't interested in meeting, lots of times I'm like, okay, I got to move on to the next person,
Yeah.
or the next thing and try to build that relationship with them. And some of them I become really good friends with now. So some of
Yeah.
them I'm actually like really good friends with. And we chat all the time and we meet up all the time and things like that still. And we talk about marketing and life or whatever, kind of stuff. But when you have that relationship, then once they get to the point of, so what happened with one of those six-figure companies, we had that relationship with someone, Jeff, my business partner, did. And he was like, hey guys, our agency, and I just parted ways. I I really would like you guys to come in and pitch us, like pitch the whole team. So we got the chance to come in and pitch the whole team. We were pitching against a couple other agencies, but because of that relationship, I think we ended up getting that, a client that's a million, I don't even know, like 1.2 million, 1.5 million a year, for
So
us.
so after you sold Digital Hive, now you just walk yourself into another sales pitch, and you've got basically another agency for that is at least doing 1.5 million in revenue.
What's that?
Wait, so did this happen before you
Oh no,
sold Digital Hive?
this is before we sold. So
Okay.
I was just
I
saying
was
like
about
that.
saying, did you just start another
No,
agency? Like,
no,
how did you-
no, no, technically I'm not allowed to start another agency for a few years,
Okay.
but what happened, no, before we sold, when we got that client that was like 1.2 million, 1.5 million, what happened was they fired their agency because we had that relationship. We were building that relationship was being built over the course of a year. And it might take that long of a time, but then all of a sudden they're like, hey, here's $1.5 million opportunity a year to work with us. And then we pitched them because we had such a good relationship. That person vouched for us,
Yeah.
and that marketing director went to bat for us, and we started working with them. And now Digital Hive has worked with that company for a couple of years now, and it was like a major insurance agency, like a major insurance company that sold insurance, health insurance,
Hmm.
and they're like, yeah, we got like $1.5 million a year just to spend on just digital advertising,
Yeah.
um, which is crazy.
What I'm hearing, like, there's like there's a few themes that are really like cutting through this whole conversation. And one of the big things is well, two of them are building to where you go or where you want to go. And then another one that I've noticed is all of this about relationships, and you've really taken that seriously. I know that for me, um, building confidence, it was really about tracking results. So I'd been in SEO for years, but it was when I got really serious about tracking results, tracking phone calls, and when I
Yeah,
could tracking revenue for my clients. That's when my confidence in the product really shot through the roof, because it was like, oh, I can see this. This is real.
yeah,
I've done it. I've got those reps and stuff. And it does make all the world, the difference in the world to be able to walk into a meeting and tell somebody, like, no, we're going to crush this for you. We're going to completely knock this
yeah.
out of the park. And you believe it in your bones.
And that's that. I got that confidence too early on because um, when it came to, we might have not been tracking like revenue things for clients, but we just had clients coming to us and coming to me really when it was just me, and saying
Yeah.
like, I doubled my business, like, and the only thing I did was work with you. Like when they came to me and said that was definitely the confidence booster, because you could tell like they knew it was me. They knew that it was the marketing and SEO that I was doing that grew their business. Like, so when they come to you and tell you that, you're like, oh man, that's amazing. Like I
Yeah.
can do this for tons of people now.
Now,
And
well,
there's
and
so many
also,
people that need help.
absolutely. But you also need to like own it, like, because I know that when I started out, I remember hearing that from one of my clients early on. And I remember thinking to myself, it sucks, but this is the truth. And I think, but anyway, I remember thinking to myself, oh, that was a fluke, rather than just
Yeah.
believing in the process, or trusting that, no, this is just what
Yeah.
happens when you have amazing SEO working for you.
Yeah. Yeah. It's something that I've learned a lot over the years. Is I'll get complimented a lot on different things in terms of like, even just like team members will be like, oh, Jake is like so smart. Like I can't be as smart as Jake and all these things. And I used to be like, I used to deny that. And I've learned over the years that it actually hurts even the person that is complimenting you, like, or telling you like,
Yeah.
hey, you did such a great job. And you're like, no, 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 like you guys did everything.
Yeah.
It's very much like, thanks, like that's awesome. Like I really appreciate you saying that. And then like, oh, and then also there might have been some other things that helped me with that. But like you said, actually owning it first um helps everyone more than just even just yourself. I found over the years.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. I'm going to be putting together a video about self-esteem, and like how to really build a solid foundation, because I think it's more about the process that you use to get that compliment, rather
Yeah.
than who you are intrinsically, or your God-given talents. But I think we're about running out of time here, and I wanted to ask you, Jake, is there anything like you wanted to share with people that we didn't get to cover that you thought was important, or maybe an aspiring digital marketing agency, or anybody else that you wanted to talk to?
Yeah. Man, there's so many things. We'll get to all the things. I I think the main most important things I've talked about for the most part, and I'm trying to think if there's any little nuggets of extra advice I can throw into this one. But I really think it is people that are like struggling still to get started. It really is like that first. It is that snowball effect, and it is like those first couple of clients or those first couple of wins that you need to hit, and it might take a while. Like it's not like I was, yeah, I was 7 years at Digital Hive, but I think I was trying to do SEO and digital marketing like for a couple of years before that. Before I even started Digital Hive, I was
Yeah.
I was doing like a single person consulting and like doing some of my own stuff, and I was building mobile websites. But like I was learning during that time and getting better. And it was probably like a 10-year journey to the acquisition of Digital Hive. And as it grew more and more, I really think it it's tough in the beginning, but I really think once you get those wins, like everyone always sees that picture of like someone just pickaxing. You ever see that with like a pickaxe and the guy stops right before the diamond? Like that's
Yeah.
literally
Oh
what it is. It's like
goodness.
it's literally like don't give up. That's one of the things I just want to throw out there, because like once you get the one or two or three wins, like it just seems to snowball after that. Is
Yeah.
my thought. But yeah, I'm trying to think. There's probably a million things I'm not thinking of. So if there's there will be lots of other things that we can chat about in a next video.
That sounds great. Hey, wait, are you able to disclose anything about the acquisition price?
I cannot,
You
no.
cannot. All right, cool. All
I
right.
cannot, I
Don't want to
cannot,
get you in trouble over here.
no, I can't. But it was, like I said, it was enough probably for like retirement
Yeah, yeah.
for us. So,
It's amazing.
um,
Well, um, Jake, and the other thing is, are you going to come down? Are you coming down to Orlando? You're speaking in Orlando?
I believe the other stipulation I believe that I might be teleconferencing in, most
Okay.
likely. The other stipulation I had is, since we just got acquired, I wasn't allowed to leave, like to as the consultant, like in our consulting agreement, we can't leave or like go on vacation or anything for the first like couple months, because we
Oh,
have to be
okay.
here like helping them in the day to day. So like this is weird. It's the first time I've had a boss in like a
Yeah.
long time. There was one of the stipulations. I'm like, oh, I can deal with it for 6 months, and then
Yeah.
I'll be off
All right.
off that.
Cool.
But yeah,
Well, I'll be down there, so maybe I'll see you on the teleconference portion of it. And Jake, I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time, and you're just so insanely generous, and with what you've learned, you're so insanely authentic. That's probably one of the biggest things,
thank you.
and I remember when I was just getting started, I remember going to OMG Live and I recognized you, and I talked to you. And if you look on our Facebook
Yeah,
Messenger
yeah.
thread, you'll see, it was from years and years ago. And you've always just been, so amazing, so generous, and so, willing to help folks. So I really want to sincerely, thank you for that.
Yeah. I love teach. I've always said this. I love teaching and helping people, and seeing other people succeed too is like definitely something I enjoy doing.
Awesome. Well, we'll definitely be in touch. And yeah, thanks again.
All right, thanks a lot.